Now, in most videos, I would try to explain something to the general audiences, especially if it's kind of obscure, but I physically cannot do that today because that's kind of a part of the problem. Homestuck is a webcomic slash video game slash flash game slash animation from the early 2010s that initially was just an interactive Mad Libs experiment that eventually got its own story. You know, Zathara? It's that it's that movie where like kids play a board game and then they get sucked into space and dimensions. Imagine that, but with all of the confusing continuity of a in the entire bibliography of DC Comics. And I say DC, not Marvel, because that also includes how reboots and retcons are canon. But that's not all, because it's 8,000 pages long. And that's not all. Most people don't give a shit about until Act 4. And there's 6 acts. I guess you can say 7 acts, but the 7th is really just the last 3 pages. And also, the creator Andrew Hussey made it even tougher to find the original, and there's a bunch of controversies I'm not going to get into, which also means that please shut the fuck up about Vivienne Medranno for 5 seconds. Not everything needs to be compared to her stuff. I say right after comparing someone else's stuff to hers because I'm a funny hypocrite. Lol, lol, xd. But honestly, of course this was going to be confusing. The original source material was confusing, but it's even worse than that because I genuinely think this is the most unadaptable piece of media of all time. Like, I'm not even joking. So, do you guys know about Undertale? Now that's something we can compare. Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale, he was literally making it in Andrew Hussey's basement. And it's inspired by lots of indie content around the time, as well as Earthbound from the 90s. But one of the big things influenced from Homestuck isn't just the quirky humor. A bigger thing is how it's a meta narrative that is very, very integrated with the medium. Undertale as a game, there's so much you can say about that, but all I'll say is you can't really adapt that either. Being a video game is a plot point. Every time you die and respawn, plot point. Every time you reset and start a new save point, plot point. Every decision you make, plot point. The fact that there are multiple endings, not just that you can choose them, plot point. They're all plot points, which would make making a movie adaptation, even if the movie is good as an adaptation, it would innately fail because the inherent themes of Undertale are so closely intertwined with that. But Homestuck, well, first of all, I don't even think the original Homestuck is that good. I could barely survive the first several parts. Act 4 was getting kind of good. I was actually pretty engrossed in Act 5. Act 6 is longer than the rest of it combined, and I had to give up, like, I don't know, 20 pages in because they immediately were ruining all of the characters at the same time and making it needlessly convoluted even though it already was. I don't even think it's that good. And talking to Homestuck fans, I don't even know if Homestuck fans think it's that good. I appreciate it, especially for having copyright-free music that sounds fucking baller, an entire catalog of almost 1,000 songs. Thank you very much, Andrew Hussey. That has unironically saved my music in my videos because I'm so sick of copyright claims, which is also why I'm not going to actually play any footage from the pilot that just came out for this video, because a lot of these Spindle Horse and Spindleroo projects, they always get claimed, and I'm greedy. I'm a greedy fascist pig. I love capitalism, lol. Give me some money so I can afford rent, baby. But regardless, I don't think it's possible to adapt it in a satisfying way. Because once again, 8,000 pages, animation is expensive, and projects about animation, I mean, they've been a lot more successful lately. They've actually been able to finish their shows as of late. 8 episode long shows. Sometimes they get to 20. 8? I kept saying 8,000 pages. It might be 8 million pages. I forget which. It's too many fucking pages. That's how. It's one of the longest pieces of media of all time. And keep in mind, it's a mixture of flash games and animations. Some of these quote-unquote pages are not real pages. They are entire animations that need to be storyboarded and convey that much more footage of animation. So just from a length standpoint, it's going to feel rushed no matter what. it's going to be incomprehensible. Like, people talk about how pilots always feel rushed. That's like the complaint I hear about almost every one of them these days. I think in part because the has-been hotel pilot was 30 minutes and that actually was paced all right, and everything else was crammed into about 10 minutes, like this one was too. But oh my god, oh my god, guys, no one understands why John had to fight his dad with a birthday cake. That just kind of started happening. Everyone's confused by that. I mean, I actually read some of the original, and I'm confused by that. I don't really understand Homestuck that well, and that's apparently a part of the charm, but I don't know. I feel like maybe just archiving it, getting some way to maybe physically adapt it into a comic book, it's not going to get the same appeal, the same fourth wall breaking. You're not going to get the way too long chat rooms with dialogue that goes on for like 50 years between these characters using very difficult to read typing quirks. Yeah, on top of it, also being one of the longest pieces of media in the English language, it's barely even English or anything because the typing quirks every character has. It's a pain in the ass to read. I'm sorry. It's one of the most difficult reads in fiction history, in human history perhaps, because like I have to readapt to a different character's writing style every time. So I'm glad that is probably going to be fixed in this adaptation. But you know what's probably not going to be fixed? The fourth wall breaking. Like the important moments where like they jump scare you by cutting the media box, how they're self-referential, and not only self-referential, remember, this started as a Mad Libs collaboration with the internet in general. The first part of the entire story is basically, hey, what should this character do? Oh, internet? You think they should do that? Okay. So things just kind of happen, and without knowing that context, it's like, I don't see how you could even adapt the first few parts because it didn't even become an actual story until like Act 3 or something, maybe Act 2. It didn't really have a narrative until that point. So, yeah, good luck adapting that, buddy. Good luck, bro. That's. Dude, this I mean, I respect the hell out of these people for trying to adapt it. I don't respect them for basically nuking the archive, which was like the only way to actually have a slight comprehensible understanding of the original source material. But then, whammo, whammy, whammy, whammo. That got nuked, so I don't know if anyone in human history can understand Homestuck anymore. This is an unadaptable piece of media. Why is it unadaptable? Here's my thesis statement. Not only is it way too long for animation specifically, but it has so many forms of media that are all plot points, to a certain extent, varying degrees, that you won't be able to really understand unless you're reading it as a flash comic. You have to change plot points just because the medium is integrated into the story. One of the author's self-inserts literally crawls into the page and becomes an annoyingly important plot point. Why is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. This is Homestuck. Can't fight the Homestuck. This is an ancient demon from hell that was long since buried, but it's coming back to crawl out of the ass of the earth. This was way more negative than I was hoping for. I do respect Homestuck as a piece of media. I do respect its fans because you guys have been abused from hell and back. This seems like a dream come true, but I think most people, since it's been like 15 years since it started, most people are like not as excited as they thought they'd be, and it's not even because this was disappointing, it's because it kind of always was destined to be like this. How are you going to adapt Homestuck? I don't think you really can that well, but I'm curious still. What are your thoughts on it? That was just unscripted. That was just one go, baby. If you like animation, sub to Alecations, bye.